Hello, I'm Avinash Tope. I'm an associate professor here at Kentucky State University and also part of Kentucky State University's land grant program. My area of discipline is human nutrition and food safety. Way back in 20 through 2013 through 16, we actually had a project to check the microbial quality of the produce coming out. And we realized that irrigation water plays a significant role, and roughly about 13 to 16% of the samples that we were testing then had a very significantly high count of E. coli, that same germ that should not be found at all in drinking water. The EPA standards for drinking water, potable water is zero. For irrigation water, we have a slightly more leeway, but then we thought this was important. And with FISMA coming in, the Food Safety Modernization Act coming in, and most of our farmers being small farmers, we thought it might be a good idea to offer that service to get their irrigation water tested for presence and the number of E. coli. And we heard about the USDA's Agricultural Marketing Services grant uh, advertisement, and we pursued that particular grant, and we were lucky that we got funded for it. And yeah, that's how we are able to offer four different labs across the state of Kentucky to help our small farmers to get their irrigation water tested. This is a very important resource to get the irrigation water tested for the E. coli. E. coli are the bacteria that most of the mammals excrete in their feces, and they represent and count in the water that we use for irrigation purposes matters, because that establishes what is technically called a fecal-oral route of contamination. So we are looking at crops that essentially come in contact with irrigation water. Should that water be contaminated beyond a particular point with E. coli, it is it poses a potential for propagation of waterborne diseases, especially E. coli, and that can establish uh, entry of E. coli into the food supply and can thereby invite an outbreak. And the whole idea behind FISMA is to ensure that we are preventing than managing a foodborne outbreak. Most of the Kentucky farmers being small farmers, many of these farms and farmers are exempt because they don't make 25,000 and above, but they would like to grow what they grow in a safe manner and are interested in following the Food Safety Modernization Act.
Glad you could join me at the Appalachian Groundswell offices. And this is a private business, Appalachian Groundswell, that is with stream mitigation and restoration. Part of that project is giving back to community and community engagement. So the space here is made available to our City of Whitesburg Farmers Market and for other organizations that need a base here to work out of that are engaged in community development. Growing up, actually, I had not heard as familiar with Kentucky State University as I should have been. And so that's been one of the great benefits of being involved with this agriculture work is seeing the impact that Kentucky State University can have in small rural communities, and especially communities that have that are struggling, that don't have enough resources available. So our first connection came through the small scale farm and Miss Joni Nelson and the program there that brought a lot of additional resources to our organizations and to individual farmers there. I believe she helped in the introduction to Dr. Tope that was natural, that as we grow our gardens and as we begin these, we learn that there's more important aspects to that than just having the seeds and having the land, but we want to make sure that what we have is safe and that what we have is meeting the needs and is certainly doing no harm. So we had that connection. He reached out to us. I think that we have a strong community base here of farmers that are well connected, can be in touch with them easily, share resources, share information. So it felt like a good fit there. So when he reached out, we were happy to volunteer to be a partner on that grant. We're happy to offer space here for the lab, a home for it to rest in, a place that our farmers are comfortable to come in for other reasons throughout time periods. We just had one here today who, Tim Breeding with Rocket Farms, who's had his water tested through his project and appreciative of the knowledge that comes with that and the expense saved for farmers. And I feel really glad that we did have this ongoing relationship. One of our farmers was a small scale farmer of the year at Kentucky State University maybe 10 years ago, Shane Lucas. He was hit hard in the flood, his garden, his high tunnels, his home. So there is that ongoing connection there, and it feels like we're not just reaching out to strangers, but friends and people that we have a relationship with, and we appreciate this continued opportunity with KSU to be able to offer these water samples.